week I wanted to say a few words about Sid Wadell, who died on Saturday. The international darting community lost its voice this weekend. It was the first thing I heard on Sunday in Stamford, and it cast a shadow throughout what was for me an oddly difficult day. Players would mention it in passing. Have you heard? Did you know? Wasn't he sick last year? Eventually, all I could do was nod my head and move on. Sid Wadell, Cambridge graduate and the dean of the PDC broadcasting team, died Saturday night of cancer at the age of 72. At once effusive, elusive, loud and proud, Sid certainly had his detractors, but the tributes pouring in from those that knew him best called him brilliant, a genius, a giant, a legend. He created and produced TV shows, wrote books, sang in a band, directed newscasts, and covered other sports as well. But to me, he represented more the glory of playing darts on the big stage. He represented the legitimacy of darts as a big-time dramatic event, a sport that has just as many thrills of victory and agonies of defeat as any other game played by serious men and women with a serious purpose. His passion punctuated the drama of a dart match with a unique flourish and elevated the sport of darts on flights of gossamer and his tungsten tonsils. I, for one, will miss him terribly and offer my condolences as well as the shows and marks to Sid's family and the generations of darts fans and players who listened and enjoyed his art over these many years. I thought about honoring Sid with a moment of silence, but though I've never met the man, the joie de vivre he showed in all his broadcasts seemed to indicate otherwise. So here's a little bit of the late and great Sid Wadell.
And Shane's as happy as a hound dog who's won a year's supply of Borneo. Bob came up like the Laughing Cavalier. Now he looks like Lee Van Cleef on a bad night. It's the kind of jousting we used to see when Ivan Who was stuffing the Normans. Reese didn't know he was having a shampoo, a shave, or watching his feet. Double 10! That'll do! Low ball from Claycroft champion in 79! Does it again in 87! What a match! Double 10. Yes! Jockey Wilson! Champion of the world in 1982! Does it! Bobby's got a little lady down in Essex called Lil who sews on them sequins for £5 a 1,000. Treble 15! Double it! Ooh, you can see how he feels. Double top! Tops will do! And open bed and a bumper in, maybe. And Dr. Spock's beamed this lad down just to enjoy the action. Some tricky commentary going on here. And some absolutely into ballistic darts flying in up there. Put him on the Starship Enterprise, he would be captain.
Well, you can be captain on the Starship Enterprise there, Sid. We'll miss you, and we'll be right back.
It's time for Dart Talk. Brought to you by TheDartZone.com. Stay in the zone. TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor and Windy City Fabricators, America's premier fabricators of orthotics and prosthetics. And Redwood Darts, America's newest tungsten darts. Stand straight and tall and hit them all. Redwood Darts. And now, here are your hosts, Mystery Mark and Steve P.
Hi, my name is Larry Butler, and you're listening to Dart Talk.
Thank you for that, Larry. August 14th. Hi.
How's it going?
Yeah, that's what it is. It's going. Everybody around the world in the chat room, welcome to Dart Talk. Steve Franciama with Mystery Mark for yet another episode. Number 31 of the year, I think.
30 for me, apparently.
Yeah, sad weekend.
Yeah.
Sid Wadell passing away. Horshack from Welcome Back, Connor.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Helen Gurley Brown. editor of Cosmo.
That I did hear.
All
Horseshack,
guys
huh?
owe her a secret debt.
Right.
Yeah, Horseshack, 63 years old. Sid Wadell, only 72. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just, this day and age, that's young. That's young for passing on. Anyway, sorry we're late. One hit-and-run driver playing pinball with 4 cars.
Yeah, it sounds pretty...
Nice guy.
Yeah.
So, literally, this happens when I'm in Stamford.
Right.
So we get a police report. We got an address because somebody literally followed the guy. We go to his house, talk to his aunt or his mother. I get the guy on the phone. Oh, yeah, here's my insurance. I was just stressed out.
But your girlfriend had no idea it happened, right? She was at work.
Right.
She comes out.
Nice surprise. Oh,
Yeah.
hey, by the way, your car's half totaled. But don't worry, it's only the passenger side.
Yeah, it's still drivable.
So literally, we're about to start the show, and he calls me.
Right.
Once again, I'm really sorry.
Oh, that's what he wanted to say?
You're sorry. How about me?
Nice.
So aside from that and me forgetting my shirts in the hotel room, yeah, it was a great weekend.
A lot going on.
We're going to go through Stamford. We also have results from Florida. They had their inter-team state something or other.
State tournament.
State tournament.
Yeah.
Thanks, Al, for sending it in, and we will get to that at some point. We also have the PDC Unicorn Youth World Championship U.S. qualifier. We got results from that. That was also in Stamford. Huge weekend in Stamford, just like one great event after another. Congrats to Larry Butler.
Okay.
Won his
Good
first
for him.
national championship. I don't know how many tries it took him, but he got through.
All right.
He got through on Friday. I'll have a lot to say about that.
Sure, I'm sure you will.
I must say we're gonna talk all about Stamford. It's a great example of all sorts of some of the, a lot of the things that we've been talking about for like the last year. Stamford took a crack at some of them. So we'll talk about how well that went and stuff. Just a reminder, we're brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor and supports the show. So support him if you need dart supplies. TheDartZone.com is the place to go. Disclaimer away, my man.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
The views and opinions expressed or implied by guests and or hosts on Dart Talk do not prima facie represent the universe of thought of the aforementioned, notwithstanding the permissions and exclusions set forth below. Any enjoiners, rejoiners, litanies, epiphanies, demurrers, Todd doers, past or future acts, or facts not presently in evidence either in and or around the underworld, the oversoul, or any other copyrighted Fantasyland, Candyland, or neutral party to the agreements and understandings set forth in this or any related memoranda will not perish from this show. All right, we got that out of the way.
Hey, I read that last week. You abandoned me, and that was a pain to read. We're going to have to get on Angie to. Oh yeah.
Plus, she sounds better than us.
Did you ever notice when you play 5-0? Let's say you're like hanging out with your buddy and you're going to play 5-0 for an hour. Did you ever notice how one number just keeps popping up? Like maybe it's like 137 or it's 74 or it's 61.
No, my
it just
memory's
seems like
not that
every
good.
other game.
Right.
No, you never.
No, not really.
Well, maybe somebody else has. It happens to me a lot.
Yeah.
But anyway, every tournament there's some weird, odd, coincidental thing that happens that just makes you think, boy,
What's going on?
So get this. You remember you were reading ads for the Blazing Saddles charity tournament every week for a couple of months.
Yeah.
Right? Well, it turns out John Frank, Mongo, just by coincidence, takes a vacation every year with his boys. It's like a guy's week, him and his young sons. And they happen to be in the Northeast, and I was talking to him on the phone, some unrelated matter, and I just happened to mention, you're going to go to Stamford, you're going to be in the area. So he shows up to play the singles on Saturday.
Really?
Who do I get in the first round? So just those weird little coincidences, like you play your doubles partner in the first round or something like that. So Mongo, if you're listening, sorry about that double top, but it couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's still thinking about it, too.
Well, it was just funny.
Yeah.
It was a funny way to wrap it up. You can ask me about my shirt later if you want. I don't know if anybody can see it. Like our mics are kind of like... Here, move this over so they can actually see. In honor of The Rock, I am wearing my honorary Rock shirt because I went to the Rock in New Jersey on Sunday night before I came back. And, boy, in a lot of ways, the perfect dart bar. Is your mic on? Okay.
I gotta hope so.
Yeah, that would be
bad.
The one time where, okay, anyway. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm a little frazzled. We will actually get to the show.
So the Rock is a dart bar. Is that what you're saying?
The Rock is a dart bar, and I am wearing a Rock shirt in honor of what I consider a fabulous dart bar.
All right.
Went in there and played a little blind draw with, 10, 12 people. Had a great time Sunday night. Nice layout. They got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boards maybe. But nobody's walking behind you. It's like a dedicated dart space. Everybody is like super duper friendly. They welcome you coming in, even though you're like kind of whatever.
An outsider.
Yeah,
and
it was everybody was just fantastic. They had a great crew of people there, and it occurred to me that I was telling everybody about my dreams if I ever won the lottery, the perfect dart bar.
Right.
The thing that the perfect dart bar starts with is like really cool people to hang out with, and they certainly had a crew there. So, hats off to the Rock.
Good
in
for
honor
them.
of the Rock, I am wearing a Rock shirt today.
Right.
No collar, so no complaints. If you want to complain, darttalk@gmail.com, and we will give it the attention it deserves.
Right. we read them all.
Right. So, I made a bunch of notes because this tournament had more packed into it in 3 days than just about any tournament that I've ever been to. Starting with the the 501 National Championship on Friday.
Okay.
So follow me on this because there's a test later. Okay. They divide the teams into East players and West players.
Okay.
And then you play a round robin. It's like, 4 or 5 guys from the West against 4 or 5 guys from the East. You play a round robin, right? And then whichever team wins the most games, it's all 501. You play 3 legs against everybody, wins. Simple, right?
Yeah.
Where do you suppose the east border, the border between East and West in the United States of America is drawn?
I would have no idea.
Well, guess. Geographically, it would probably be through, Kansas.
Yeah, Nebraska.
Actually, if you watch the Computer Wore Tennis Shoes with Kurt Russell, Lebanon, Kansas is the direct middle of the country.
That I have not seen.
Guess who played for the West team?
You.
Yes. I live in Chicago,
right,
which is east of Lebanon, Kansas.
Yeah.
It's also east of the Mississippi River and east of a lot of things.
So how'd you end up on the West side?
Well, that was never adequately explained to me, despite many questions. I posed many questions to the ADO, and we will get to some of their answers later.
All right.
However,
was it beneficial or
well,
for you to be on the West side?
Here's the thing. If you guys go, and we'll have results for everybody, but you can go to ADOdarts.com, and they have the actual groups. Like, these were the East Group 1, East Group 2, East Group 3. Here was East Group, or West Group 1, West Group 2, West Group 3. Right. And this is the last time anybody will hear me whining about this, but literally, I played on the West, and on the East team, we had Larry Butler, who won the national championship, Darren Young, spoiler alert, who won the 501 singles, Robbie Phillips, who won the 501 pro shoot, Tom Curtin, who won, I think, 2 doubles and a triples, the youth champion from Carolina, and this other guy who played okay. But
right.
And I'm like, okay, tough group. The West is in trouble. I thought Scotty Burnett was coming. He got hung up doing something in Shanghai or something, couldn't get back, whatever. So we're down Scotty Burnett, and we end up losing by, I don't know, maybe 20 legs in all, something like that. They got the score up there. Somebody can check.
Right.
But then somebody's like, I got literally 3 legs left to play. And somebody's like, they're using this for seeding. And I'm like, what do you mean? They're using it for seeding. How could you seed something when I'm playing
on the wrong side?
Well, no. It's like your group has 5 guys that are ranked in the top 50. My group has 3 guys ranked in the top 5. And if we have identical, if you have you win 1 more leg than me, you're going to be seeded higher than me when my group was 5 times tougher. That's how you're seeding.
So that didn't go well for you.
I got seeded, and I think I was seeded 11th, and I went 12-6 against what I thought was like the toughest group in the room.
Right.
And I'm like, 11th? Really? That's just great. Just great.
What were the other guys' records? Do you know? Does it really matter?
I don't know that I don't think they listed that, but what they did was, because the East won, 10 East players got seeded.
Okay.
Because the West lost, only 6 West players got seeded. And they had 46 men, I think, something like that, and then a couple of Utes. But what basically happened was a bunch of people had to play in that weren't seeded. So you had some first-round matches where guys were getting knocked out that you're kind of thinking, well, geez, you're ranked 13th and you're ranked 11th. Neither of you were seeded, and now one of you is out before the round of 32. How is that the way to run a national championship? So I was really irritated.
Is this the first time they've done that?
Well, it's the first time I've seen them do it this way, and they've done it a number of different ways in the past. What they did it the last time I was there was not everybody got through to the knockout round. They would take the top 10 from the winning team and the top 6 from the losing team, and they would be the top 16 that played for the national championship. And to quote my youth, the teams are rooked, okay? If you're wearing a red shirt, you're at a tremendous disadvantage, and that is a crock for running a national championship, unless, you happen to really like the East, right? I mean, it's absurd. So I'm sitting there in the restaurant Saturday morning, and I'm aggravated, because I thought I was playing well enough to win until I messed up and couldn't hit a double in the 7th leg against Robbie Phillips. Well played, Robbie. Elbowed by me. Okay, that happens. I'm
right.
Fine. So the president of the ADO is at the next table, and it's Saturday brunch, and I'm still aggravated by this whole system.
By the seedings.
Yeah, and I'm talking to one of the guys in the chat room, and I'm like, how am I even in the West anyway? So he goes through the schedule, and we decide, let's change things. Why don't we make it North against South?
And that would make it better.
Well,
how?
Because predominantly most of the players are certainly east of the Mississippi,
right.
The vast majority of players. Well, it's not fair to move the line of what is the West to Chicago to have some semblance, mind you, of numerical parity. Right? Because it was still 26 against 20. There were still 26 more guys on the East than on the West, even though they threw me from Chicago in the West. I may go on and on about this. So I was like, if you made it North-South, because most people are in the East, at least, you'll split them up.
Right.
Yeah, there's a big contingent in the Carolinas, and those guys all know each other.
Yeah.
Right? Why not do it that way? I don't want to, restart the Civil War or anything like that, but I mean, there's got to be a better way to do this. And if you're going to be using unbalanced round robin groups for seeding, then you're never going to hear the end of it from me.
Right.
So I was offering my opinions to the president of the ADO on a number of
Did he
issues.
seem to listen?
Well, he got this glazed over look, like here comes another darter, and I will just sort of like, And in Chris's defense, Chris does listen. I mean, he really does listen. I don't know. I was talking to a bunch of the ADO people, and they're talking about board decisions and this and that, and I'm like, well, look, tell me who disagrees. Give me their names. Like, you proposed X. Who voted no? Because if we knew that, if darters as a community knew which people on the board voted yes for this and which voted no for that, there'd be transparency, there'd be accountability,
right?
And you could actually go to the guy voting no and say, look, I mean, I really wish you would support this because I think it's a great idea and here's why. But instead, there's just this like Politburo opaqueness over everything where, well, it was a board decision. And I'm like, what are you doing that for? I mean, if they're voting against you, you're just giving them cover. I mean, to pretend that everyone agrees when actually everyone doesn't do anybody any good. All these people want changes and stuff like that. Here's the way to get it. So I'm proposing that we dump East-West, go to North-South, so I don't have to like pretend that I live in the West because I really don't feel like I do. It's the central time zone.
Yeah.
Right? So's Nashville. But Nashville's in the East and I'm in the West. No. Don't tell me that that's the way, the cookie crumbles. No. Use the Mississippi River. And you're still like, then the guys in Louisiana that are on the West, which, last I looked, Louisiana's not in the West. I don't really think it's West.
I don't think so.
It depends. West of what? I mean, everything's west of something.
Yeah.
Right.
You gotta specify.
Well, we're all west of England.
Yeah.
I mean, I was really I didn't really care, and a lot of guys I thought weren't really East-West All-Stars. Okay, great. I mean, everybody played, but nobody. It wasn't like grim death.
Right.
But when I found out after I'd already played 4 or 5 matches that they're going to use it for seeding, I was like, you're killing me. You're officially killing me. This is totally, radically, fundamentally unfair from the word go. And you're going to use this for seeding?
How many?
6 guys on the national team, 5 of them on the East. If you're
many,
on the national team, you're not East or West. They should have split them up 3 and 3 to try to make the teams even.
Right.
What is this? It's an Eastern conspiracy. You talk about East Coast bias. Here it is. You all lived through it. How was it, you blue-shirted? Can we get off? Can we get off the?
You got that out of your
Can we
system?
get off the seating? Because I
right.
got more to get to.
All right. What else you got? You want to take a break after that?
Why don't we? Yeah. Okay.
We'll play commercial.
Well, you know what? Yeah. What I did last week, because you weren't here and I didn't have time, is we just did dead silence, and I took a sip of coffee and tried to kind of get my thoughts together. So, and because I'm taking them out of the podcast anyway. So,
right.
All right. Give Steve a minute to calm down, and we'll be right back. That was a bit of a rant. It's true, though. I mean, the whole thing was stupid, right? Just put wood to Ray. Okay, ready? Anything else in that? Okay, and we're back. I'm not that calmed down, but we can
That's
continue.
All right. It's better.
We are brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, a big thank you to Windy City Fabricators and Redwood Darts. The more I talk about it, the more I'm aggravated.
All right, well, we got to talk about something else.
Let's talk about
what else
something
you got?
Well, let's talk about actually the darts.
How about the tournament itself?
Yeah, the tournament itself. Okay, so they have the I believe if you go to ADOdarts.com, and they'll have on the front page the men's winner, which was Larry Butler, Stacy Bromberg won the women's, and I believe it was Austin Adam won the youth. If you click on the link right under the picture, you can actually see the brackets, who played who, and stuff like that, which is really nice, to be able to see who knocked out who, so they don't tell you different later. Right?
Right. Like
I beat Ray Carver 4-0.
Did you?
No.
Okay.
Didn't even play him.
Oh.
so I mean, at least though, if I said that, you
could
find out. You could look it up
if you're telling the truth.
There's historical artifact to back it
up.
Right. Okay. Somebody came up to me after the championship and said, I think Larry was sandbagging in the round robin. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I didn't think he was even trying. And Larry's kind of funny. I mean, Larry doesn't always look like he's trying when he's trying. Right. I mean, he does everything kind of the same way, and he
methodical.
Yeah, he's very methodical, and he doesn't really seem to get really emotional. When he pulls his darts from the board, it's hard to tell if he threw a ton 40 or a 41. I mean, he just grabs his darts and comes back. So that may have been a misreading on Larry, but he did start out losing his first 6 legs and didn't get seeded. And I started thinking after the guy told me this, and I'm like, well, no, there's an interesting strategy, and there are some guys that kind of think their way through this stuff. It's like, you're not going to get seeded, so you're going to get a play-in match to the round of 32 against somebody else who isn't seeded. I mean, what are the odds that you're going to get somebody really, really good that's not seeded? Because normally,
what are the odds somebody else thought to do the same thing?
Well, you can outthink yourself, and I've seen that happen. And there were some really rough, play-in matches.
Right.
Chuck Pankow had to play Joe Chaney, and those guys are both ranked in the top whatever. Which is the other thing that I didn't get to. It's like, why doesn't the ADO just seed it based on ADO rankings? They have them right in front of them, and if they don't, I can get them on my cell phone and say, here you go.
Yeah, you can handle it.
And seed it with that.
Right.
I mean,
maybe they're trying
like,
to. Maybe they're trying to make the round robin mean something.
No, they're trying to rig it so the East never loses again. Is what they're trying to do. And maybe 20 years ago, when there was like a lot of play in Southern California and stuff like that, and things were more balanced, it made sense. Now I think if you really look at it, and the preponderance of players that live east versus the people who live in the west. I talked to a guy from Alaska, was on the west team. How many tournaments a year you think he goes to? You think like the guys in Boston can drive within 5 hours? There's 15 tournaments a year they can drive to within like 4 or 5 hours. How many you think he can drive to from? You can't even drive into Juneau. You have to take a ferry. You know, how many $10,000 tournaments you think the Alaskans in Juneau are flying to this year? Just ballpark it. Anything above zero would be wrong.
All right.
I'm just saying. It's hard for the West.
So anyway,
everything is spread.
It doesn't matter.
if you divided it north and south, and I was talking to Phil Fried about it, we couldn't really figure out, like, is St. Louis north or south? And I said, it's probably north.
Right.
Mason-Dixon line, you know, whatever. What would Kansas be? Well, I don't know. Split Kansas in half.
Right. I mean, or just seed it with the ADO rankings.
Seed it with the ADO rankings. How's that? You know, why don't you do that? You have them. I can get them to you if you don't.
I don't have them.
Well, I'm just saying. You want them? I can. Just, there they are. All right, enough about that. But there was a lot of good play.
Yeah.
A lot of good players. The round robins, guys were throwing really good. The matches I saw, if you look, there's a lot of 4-3s. You know, one double here or there, one missed start here or there were costing guys matches, which is good. It shows like a good competitive level of play. Larry won the final 5-3, so he only won by one break.
Right.
I would have liked to have seen the final longer because the singles the next day, the final was longer. They played best of 9. So if you're playing best of 9 for WDF singles, but now your national championship is best of 5, what does that really say? And then the pro singles was best of 3, which is like, I just don't understand the thinking here.
Right.
You know, I know you're trying to get in more events and you can't, you know, everything can't be best of 11. Legs. Well, you know, that's what the PDC does. But to be honest with you, you know, with the caliber of players we have here, best of 11 probably isn't feasible right now because it would take much longer. Like if you had an American field of 64 doing best of 11, there's no way on earth we'd be doing it in the same amount of time as a field of 64 Brits doing it, because generally, you know, they're playing better.
Right.
Their games are shorter, right? And so consequently, their matches are over quicker, so they get to the next round quicker, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know.
It just wouldn't work.
Well, I think it would work if we kept doing it. It would work because, you know, already I think the level of play. I was telling somebody I think the level of play this year compared to a few years ago in Stamford is probably 20% better. I mean, guys, there were a lot of good. You know, every time I messed up, I paid for it right off the bat. Yeah. And that's how it's supposed to be.
Right.
You know, and you know, this next round, the guy makes a mistake and he loses. That's how it's supposed to be. So anyway, so Larry had a slow start, but it ended up, you know, he ended up winning.
Out for him.
First time he's ever won a national championship, and I'm sure that must have felt pretty special to him. You know, I didn't really talk to him about it because by the time I came back, the final was over. I'd go power.
You were still pissed off that you're on the West.
No, I was irritated that I missed a couple of doubles to beat Robbie and move into top 4 because this is the first time I've been to a tournament where I honestly felt I should have won at least 2 events.
Yeah.
At least 2 events. Because I felt like I was playing good. I had like an hour or an hour and a half where I played really, really good. But I couldn't really sustain it through the whole day. And that's going to be my next little project. Well, live and learn. That was one thing that Dave Walsh said. And here's another one. I blew one to Dave Walsh, missed a bunch of doubles. Okay, well played, Dave. Move on. Whatever. But if you remember your interview with him in Chicago, the reason that he said Darren had the best mental game is because Darren could keep his focus through an entire event. And that's what Dave felt was the hardest thing to do.
Right.
especially on Sunday. I think it was impossible for almost everybody. We'll get to Sunday. So that was kind of food for thought. Yeah, and then the other thing, well, okay, let's give the people running this tournament some credit because they did make some changes that everyone felt was beneficial. When we played the best of 5, it wasn't diddle every leg. Yeah, I've been mocking them.
Yeah,
the American Diddling Organization, saying I had over 100 diddles.
Right.
We did flip and go, diddle last leg.
Okay.
So if you got to a 5th leg,
then you diddled.
Okay, so here's what I don't like is I don't like winning the coin flip.
Why? You don't have a choice, or you?
Well, the theory here, and DJ Sayre will back me up on this because I believe we talked about it last year. The idea is that your first leg of a match may not be your best. So you're better off having the other guy go first, warm up on his leg, and if you happen to break him, you're great. Because then all you got to do is hold twice,
right,
and you win, right?
So if you diddled first, you'd tank it?
Well, we didn't diddle first. We flipped the coin.
You would.
I don't know that I would, because if you're going to diddle first and last, that's different. Like in the PDC, you only diddle once, and whoever wins the diddle, they start the final game if you get that far, right? 2 diddles makes the first diddle irrelevant, and you could tank it. If you want to go second, throw it in the triple.
Right, but then you're not guaranteed to win the last diddle.
Exactly.
Right, okay.
But you're not guaranteed to win the last diddle this way either, because unless you get to a 5th leg, And actually, I won the diddle against Robbie, and I missed a couple of doubles. So after he, excuse me, Robbie, but you butchered that 66. It was the only bad round he threw in 7 legs.
Right.
Was the 66, and then I didn't take advantage of it. So good that he won. It would have been interesting to see Robbie win it back to back, because Robbie doesn't get a lot of respect. Being from Carolina and being only 75 pounds. I don't think everybody respects him because he's not as burly.
Right.
He's not as burly. You got to be burly. It's a man's game. Burly.
Okay.
Speaking of burly, how are your Marlins doing? Not so good.
Oh my God.
Whew. Aren't you glad I managed to get that
$20
down for you in Vegas?
Yeah, that's $20 out the window.
I got you 7-1 right here. So anyway, yeah, the flip and go, I don't mind it, but I don't like it. I would prefer that if you won the coin flip, you had the choice to go first or second.
Right.
If you're just flipping a coin,
usually,
it doesn't really matter, but,
It's just something else to complain about.
I'm not complaining. What we are talking about now is how to best,
right,
set up these events so that, the best players can play their best, and you'll get the best players advancing, and you'll see the best starts.
If you're flipping for luck, you might as well get the choice.
Yeah.
As opposed to you luckily get to go first.
Yeah, let's just say that I wouldn't mind.
Right.
If I had the choice winning the coin flip.
Right.
And I was kind of rooting for myself to lose the coin flip, which of course then I would win. Right. So.
Right.
And the same thing happened.
Did you pick or did you?
No, you don't get to pick. You go first. If you win the flip,
did you
go
pick
first.
Heads or tails, or was?
Well, I always pick tails.
Oh, okay.
I haven't picked heads in 7 years.
See, I always take heads.
No, I don't want to. Well, okay. I'm just sort of consistent about it. I'm not going to think about it. Tails,
right.
Whatever. Tails never fails. Who cares?
Right.
It's a coin flip. If it lands on its edge, I don't know what the ADO rule is. I haven't looked it up. It's kind of the same deal as like the one time I tell you I was playing Mike Malone and we're diddling. 3rd leg of some cricket match. He throws a double bull I'm about to throw, and the dartboard falls off the wall. And we couldn't figure out what the rule was. I'm like, I'm pretty sure you got to throw it again. He's like, but it was in. I'm like, well, it's not in now.
Yeah.
I don't know what the rule is, man. By the time we were done laughing, I think we'd just do it over. What do you think? Well, let's put the board up first.
Yeah, that would help.
Anyway, so that was Friday. I'm not going to say anything about how lame a pro singles is that's best of 3, diddle every leg. Should I mention that I don't find that particularly appealing?
You just did.
Okay. But there were still good darts being played, and it's still, it comes down to, who's executing. And
right.
Robbie, after losing the final to Larry, to Robbie's credit, hung in there and ended up winning the singles. So good to him. Why don't we run through
Would you like to do the results?
Well,
Since you keep telling everybody what happened anyway?
Well, I wanted to go like Friday, Saturday, Sunday so we could go through the whole tournament, but who give us the results from
Friday?
Give us the results from the 501 National Championship and then the men's singles on Friday that Robbie won.
Oh, okay.
Got that?
So, yeah.
Okay.
So we'll start with the Utes.
Okay, and just about the Utes, they were in a completely separate room, and I wish I would have had time to watch them play because I know that there's some pretty good players. And one of them, I don't know how many of them played in the open events, but I actually had to play the same kid twice.
Right.
Which remind me, if I should be insulted that somebody uses me for a warm-up match, we'll get to that.
Okay.
But yeah, let's do the Ute champions and the men's and women's with the top 4 and everything.
All right. 3rd and 4th in the Utes go to Kyle Gauthier and Miles Gallagher. 2nd place goes to Scott Frazier Jr. and Austin Adam.
Yeah, great final. I did get to see the end of the last leg. And they both, did they both end up on double one, or one was on double two, double one? I mean, they played really good, and then it was like they started wiring the doubles. It was absolutely excruciating. Well, you feel for the kids.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely. All right, so then in the women's, 3 and 4, Gloria Gutierrez and Betty Cunningham. Marilyn Pop gets 2nd, and Stacy Bromberg wins the women's national championship.
Congratulations. That's Stacy's 71st national championship, I believe.
Really?
72nd?
Wow.
She's had a lot. I don't know.
Good.
Awful lot.
All right, and then the men's championship, if you haven't been paying attention, 3rd and 4th, Tom Sawyer and John Sisson. Sison.
Silky smooth. John Sison. John played great.
Robbie Phillips 2nd, and Larry Butler is your men's 501 national champion.
So congratulations. That was the 501 national championship. And then do we have the pro singles that Robbie won?
No.
Can you see that?
The 301 or?
No, it was 501. Got anything that says Robbie won?
No.
Yeah, see, that's Saturday.
Oh, okay.
The one with Darren winning? Yeah, okay.
Right.
Yeah, I don't. I know that Ray Carver was runner-up in the pro singles. Congrats, Ray. I don't remember who was in the top 4, and apparently the ADO couldn't get it to me in time. So, good on them.
So then, all right, that takes care of Friday.
That's Friday.
All right.
So let's give us a quick break, and we'll be right back. We'll talk about Saturday. Okay, and we're back for the second half, third quarter, whatever it is. Brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, thanks Windy City Fabricators and Redwood Darts. I would take issue with somebody in the chat room this very second saying I argued the opposite against DJ Sayer, but I am not going to go into that.
Okay.
I'm taking the high road, and I'm going to be like, nah, I didn't. Did not.
There you go.
Anyway, I mentioned this and we didn't get to it. They, the people that run this tournament did make an effort to change things. Like I said, that they got rid of the diddle and they went to the flip and go. They also made the Saturday singles, which is a WDF ranked event, which means, you get to wrestle on the Pro Tour if you win enough of them.
Okay.
Oh, wait, that's the WWE.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was a WDF ranked event, and I always said, how do you do a WDF ranked event if it's only best of 3? They made the entire event best of 5 this time. Same deal. Flip and go, did a last leg. And kudos for them doing that, because now I can't really call them the American Diddle Organization anymore. No. So I'm glad about that because I'm glad about that because it interrupts your flow when you have to stop every leg and diddle. And what if you have to diddle 3 or 4 times? It just becomes like silly, right? Which I've said before. So they did change that. They did not, of course, seed this event. So you had like the usual loaded brackets, which at this tournament wasn't really as bad as it might be somewhere else because there were so many good players.
Yeah.
It's like, well, whatever.
They're all loaded.
Yeah. I mean, nobody's having, an easy draw anywhere. But I did want to talk about a couple of things. One of the things that everybody has been saying we should do is, when you have a final, stop calling other matches. Give people a chance to watch it. And they did do this. They stopped calling matches for the triples. They had the guys on stage playing the final. It was Darren Young, spoiler alert, Darren Young and Dieter Schutz. And I didn't have time to pull the audio from the other week when I said, hey, if Dieter, got around more, he'd win.
Yeah.
He'd be a ranked player because, he's been around forever and he's always been a solid pro and real good guy. So they did that. And
did they have a good crowd?
Yeah, they had maybe 50 people standing around watching, and I got it in my head that we needed some noise.
Yeah.
Because if you ever see, like, what these guys, and we've had Darren on the show talking about, the crowd yelling and all this stuff and that. So I was, yelling. And half the people were looking at me like, literally, what are you on? Right? And I'm trying to get the crowd jacked up, and it was really funny because they ended up playing all the way down to the final leg. And Dieter, I think they took a men's room break. Darren was up 4-2, and Dieter ended up tying it up 4-4, and they had to play a deciding leg. Did they play best of 9? I guess they must have. Right, so it went down to the very last leg. Darren missed a double. Dieter had a whack at 84, I think. 84 or 74. Yeah.
Something like that.
Went for the 16, hit a single, then boom, trip 20 dead center and just missed a double 14 to win it.
Really?
So, yeah, and then Darren took out, I don't know, double 1 or whatever.
Yeah.
So, Darren ended up winning it. But the nice thing was, the last couple of legs, they started playing better. And at one point, they threw back-to-back ton 80s. And then everybody spontaneously cheered. And it's like, you can cheer for good darts. You don't have to wait for absolutely fabulous darts because it gets really quiet if they slip up and throw a 41.
Right.
Then there's just like this thud, right? But I was literally hoarse after that. And I cheered for both of them.
Right.
And somebody asked me, who are you cheering for? I'm like, I'm cheering for good darts.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get these guys excited.
Because
that's what everybody's been saying. Everybody's been saying, we want to play on stage. We want to play in front of a crowd. So let's try it out. So,
to start.
Well, yeah, I mean, Dieter thought it was great. I talked to Dieter, and we played the doubles together, so I had a lot of time to talk to him. He thought it was great that I was trying to get the crowd jacked up. He knew what I was doing right away. Darren was like, yeah, I knew you weren't cheering against me, so it was fine. But I don't know how comfortable he was.
Yeah.
Because it's just not something that, you're used to.
Right.
But why not cheer for the guys? One of the most fun things I've ever experienced in darts was one of these triples pots. Wherever, they have a raffle, and if you get picked, you get 3 darts to throw a triple, and for every dart that's in the triple, you get 1/3 of the pot, and, I don't know, it's a few $100, whatever. In the Southside Dart League in Chicago, they do it in the middle of league night. They have like an in-house league with 6, 8, 10, 12 teams, whatever it is. And everything comes to a stop for the triples pot, and everybody is yelling for the guy who gets picked to miss while he's throwing. They're yelling, Noonan!
Right,
Noonan!
because they want the pot to
You're
go.
going to choke! It's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, it's the coolest thing I've ever seen, and it's like, why not be that way? Why not cheer and have a good time like you're actually watching a sport event as opposed to a chess tournament?
Are you advocating to cheer for the person you want to win, or you're just advocating to cheer for good darts?
Either way, I don't care.
Doesn't matter.
I don't really care. I mean, I'm not sure you should be booing people.
Right.
I mean, I don't think you should be like, trying to throw guys off or anything like that. I think, be an honest fan. Cheer for who you cheer for.
Yeah.
You do it in every other stinking sport known to man.
Right.
Let's get on the, we're if darts is a sport, let's treat it like one. That's all I'm saying. So I got it in my little head that we should do that. And then part of it was Bobby George was sitting, he was like hanging around the tournament all day. Oh, which reminds me, a special shout out to Bones. I said I would do that. See, here's the thing. The other show, Darts Around the World, is much different than ours, but they have like basically a host and or two co-hosts. You have Evan Waterman and John Ronholm. John Ronholm's nickname is Bones, and they're both at the tournament, right?
Okay.
One of the women comes and says, "Would you mind chalking?" I look at Evan because I'm still playing in the men's doubles. I'm like, "Evan, can you chalk?" "No, got to go shopping." Really?
Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do.
So then later, I'm looking for a chalker, and I'm thinking I ended up chalking a 45-minute women's doubles match. They had like kind of too much wire on the doubles there.
Right.
It happens. Happens to guys too. I'm not dissing the women, but I go looking for a chalker later. Evan's like, no. Bones is like, sure, I'll do it. So Evan has to have a nickname. John has one. It's Bones.
Evan's,
so we have a nickname for Evan Waterman now. I'd rather be shopping. So, Evan, I'd rather be shopping Waterman. Special shout-out to you, buddy.
I'd rather be shopping.
And a shout-out to Bones. You know, Bones is a great guy. We talked a little bit of darts. He's kind of like you. He's a league player. He doesn't go to a lot of tournaments or anything like that, although the way he's talking now, he would rather play these one-day tournaments that they have in New York than play league. He gets more out of them, he says, which we would talk about that, either today or tomorrow. Because I'm starting to think that for everybody's development, that would be better.
Right.
You know, to just play these big days of darts, instead of like this Tuesday night, kind of bar league stuff where you end up sitting around more than playing. I mean,
you play for 15 minutes, sit around for an hour.
I'm not a fan of that.
Right.
And stamina does, become an issue with these tournaments. And it was evident, I thought, on Saturday. I thought, for one, you got people that are playing the round-robin Friday and then the knockout singles. So they've played 30, 40 legs. Now you're going into the pro singles, and you got guys showing up that haven't played all day. So you're playing with fresh arms against tired arms.
Right.
I'm not saying that's why Ray Carver made the final, because Ray's a fantastic player. Might have made it anyway. But then it got worse on Saturday because then there were guys showing up Saturday that didn't play at all on Friday. So you had like waves of good players with fresh arms, and I'm just looking around like, are you kidding me? Really? So I mean, I thought fatigue started to really show on Saturday with some of these guys, but it was really fun watching Dieter and Darren play. But the idea, I was talking to Bobby George, and I'm sure everybody knows who he is. He was like the first guy. From what I hear, he was kind of like the Liberace of darts. He'd show up with a girl on each arm and all this bling and everything, and a real showman, not that Liberace, but I mean, you know what I mean? He was like a showman, kind of a guy. And when darts was just first getting on television, and he was telling me how you need characters and all this stuff, and we've said that before too. But that kind of was in my mind, and then I'm looking at everybody just standing around watching. I'm like, let's cheer. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I probably ended up looking like a dork.
No, you could start a trend.
I think we should. I thought that them stopping calling matches so people could watch the final was very well deserved. I'm not sure. I think they did it for the women too. And somebody came up to me and he's like, how come you're not cheering for the women? And I'm like, because I'm going down the hall to the men's room. Right? I mean, I'm not obligated. But, and it's not that the women aren't worthy of it. And the women should be there cheering for each other. The women should be supporting each other, the way the guys do. Right? And we need to... I thought the women's turnout was pretty good. On Sunday, they ended up recycling guys for the mixed doubles.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we'll get to Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get to Sunday. Where are we on time here?
Well, you want to do
I'm just rambling on. Let's do some results.
For Saturday?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. You do let's do those Florida results real quick. There was a reason that people weren't there from Florida. And I will mark the Saturday results on this thing. So... All right, just read the whole thing.
This past weekend in Orlando, 24 leagues in the state brought their best 8 men and 4 women for the state team tournament. Update on the top 4 of Florida states. Florida state team results after the regionals are as follows. TDLS leads with 249, followed by CFDA with 247, then SCDA with 237, and BCDA with 234. Heads-up matches between these 4 were BCDA 14-13 winners over TDLS and CFDA 16-11 winners over SCDA. It's a 4-team race with lots of great matches coming in October. TDLS is the Tuesday Dart League. Sarasota. CFDA is the Central Florida Dart Association. SCDA is Space Coast Dart Association. BCDA is the Broward County Dart Association. For more information, FDA webpage, Florida Dart Association.
Okay, so you guys can follow that. So I guess they're not done yet.
Apparently not.
Is the idea with that. Okay.
More matches coming in October.
All right, let me read the Saturday results, and then you can do the let me talk about the PDC youth thing, and then you could do that. So the men's singles 5-0, top 4 was... just read that name. I can't say it.
Dave Walsh.
Right. Also Gordon Dixon, top 4. Let's see. Dieter Schutz, runner-up to Darren Young. Well played, everybody. Especially the name I can't say.
Dave.
Right. Ladies singles 501, top 4, Brenda Roush, Robin Curry. Marilyn Pop, the runner-up to Betty Cunningham. She was, I mentioned, I thought she was like a dark horse a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
I hear she works really hard on her game, so well played to her. Also, men's doubles cricket. Top 4, Ray Carver and Danny Delfino, Dan Olson and Jason Barlow. Second place, Chris Helms and Conley Litton. And winners, Ryan Barnett and that cricket-playing fool, Joe Cheney.
Joe Cheney.
Well played, Chainsaw. Ladies doubles cricket also on Saturday. Top 4, Tara Popplestein and... I can't read that. Janelle Dickerson, and also Jeanette. Thank you. So Tara Popplestein, Jeanette Dickerson, Camilla Bonnell, and I don't have my reading glasses on, and Kirsten McCardless, second place. To Stacy Bromberg and Mary Beth Collins, and the winners Callie West and Robin Curry. So well played to them. Also on Saturday, they had the United States qualifier for the PDC Unicorn Youth World Championship, which I believe Ute is 21 and under.
Right.
So let's run through. Okay, and here's the thing. Okay, so first or second round in the 501 singles.
Round.
Hang on. Second round of our 501 singles, I get called against Kyle Gauthier.
Right.
Kyle's been on the show. He's from somewhere in Carolina, I think. Carolina or Georgia? I think he's from Carolina. And as he's coming up to the board, Anthony Eugenio, who's wearing like this PDC shirt, is like, okay, you're up in the other room in the PDC youth. And I look at him and I'm like, well, hey, if you want to play that one first, that's fine with me. I'll wait around. I mean, that may be more important to you. And he looks at me, he's like, nah, I'll play you first. And I'm like, okay, I don't mind waiting. He's like, no, I'll play you first. I'm like, okay.
So you're saying he used you?
That's what I'm thinking. Later on, I was like, what am I? I'm the warm-up for this kid? I'm like, oh, my gosh. I ended up playing him Sunday, too.
Well, in the first round, it actually worked out for him, apparently.
Well, yeah.
We could only assume it helped.
Yeah, let's run through this, because this is pretty cool. The winner, okay, I won't spoil who won, but it gets to go play in England in the Youth World Championship, which I think's awesome.
You want me to do every round?
Sure, why not?
All right, round 1, Leanne Burke got a bye. Cody Gauthier beats Mitch Hendrick 4-2. Ryan Morey beats Scott Mowry 4-3. Anthony DeArmas Jr. 4-1 over Cole Keene. Danny Lowry Jr. got a bye, and then Kyle Gauthier 4-0 against Kyle Owen. Richard Williams with a bye, and then Andrew Briere. Apparently, I'm assuming that's 4-0 over Dylan Gaither. So then in your quarterfinals, you have Cody Gauthier 4-2 over Leanne Burke, Anthony DeArmas Jr. 4-2 over Ryan Morey, Dan Lawbury Jr. 4-2 over Kyle Gauthier, and Richard Williams 4-2 over Andrew Briere. Then your semifinals, you got Anthony DeArmas Jr. wins 4-0 over Cody Gauthier, and Dan Lawbury Jr. 4-0 over Richard Williams. So your final of Dan Lawbury Jr. and Anthony DeArmas Jr., Dan Lawbury wins it 4-3.
4-3.
Good for him. So he's going to England.
Going to England, deciding leg. And the funny thing is his dad's played over there, too.
Yeah?
Yeah, I didn't talk to Cujo about it, but he must be, tickled pink and proud. And Danny's been over there before, representing America in these youth things the way Kyle Gauthier did last year and stuff. So, good for them. Okay, so then we'll do Sunday.
You want to do one more break before we come back for Sunday?
Let's do another break because Sunday's going to be brutal.
Okay.
Anybody who was there knows what I'm talking about. All right, so we'll be back in a second. Okay, and we're back for the fourth quarter, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. We're reviewing some of the chat. Oh, that is this is something that I think it has holograms or something. It's sort of like golfers wearing copper.
Right.
It's supposed to work like that. I'm field testing it. There is a darter who's thinking of trying to get these guys to sponsor him and sponsor the product. So I'm like, well, let me try one and see what happens. So far, I've been hit and run and, forgot some luggage and some other stuff. So I'm not sure it really worked that well this weekend.
Right.
And I offered to give it back to him, and he's like,
I
don't want it.
Is it supposed to make you feel better?
I think it's supposed to, there's no pain when you wear it or something like that. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of strange.
Well, that's probably why they hit the car and not you. Maybe you can look at it that way.
Well, I was 2,000 miles away, so good luck hitting me with that. Yeah, Sunday.
All right, so what's so wrong with Sunday?
I don't know. I mean, I was in a bad mood because, Sid Wadell died, and I found out Sunday morning when I first came down in the dart hall. The problem Sunday was events overlapping. They started a little bit late. They had 3 events. They had mixed doubles, men's doubles, and singles, cricket singles.
Right.
The doubles were 0-1. So by the time the mixed doubles were over, they had already started calling singles matches. And we'd only played one round in the doubles. So it became like you played a round and some people were waiting 2.5 hours.
Wow.
Because,
really?
The brackets get behind because other people are still playing other events. And it got to the point when by the time we got down to the cricket singles, I had a guy come up to me, top 16, he's got the tickets in his hand. I'm standing on the board. He looks at me. Hey, you win, Steve. I have to go.
Right.
And I've heard of this happening, and I think it happened last year to Darren, where Darren had like a bye into the top 4. Like 2 guys had to leave. Other people had to leave. And then it's very difficult to manage your game because you don't know when you're going to play, and there's all these long delays. And I don't think it's going to bother the younger people as much as, older people like me who are old and decrepit and need to, get loose. And how often do you go to the board? How often do you get up and throw? How often do you bug the people running the tournament saying, who am I waiting for and all this stuff? And literally, they're 2 or 3 rounds behind.
Yeah, because if you think you're going to play in 20 minutes, you'd be warming up, and then next thing you know, you warm up, and then you don't get called for another hour.
Yeah, and it was there were a lot of unhappy people that I talked to on Sunday. They're just frustrated. It's like their last day to play good, and then it's like, and it seems to me like Gordon and Tom Sawyer made the final, but they had been pretty much, Tom Sawyer played steadily all the way through because they won the mixed. And then he went right into the men's doubles, and they won that. So everybody was waiting on Tom, who kept winning. So he played steady all day long. Other people, I had an hour and a half, 45-minute delay in the doubles, played a couple of rounds of singles, literally had like a 2-hour delay. And then the match I'm supposed to play, the guy has to leave. Oh, and then poor Eddie Moore, the next match, the guy was so tired from winning the match before, he could barely lift his arm. So I got by him, and it was sort of like I didn't play a competitive match. Eddie Moore's a great player, and I'm like, wow, I can see how tired you are, and I know you're a way better player than that because he beat Ryan Barnett.
Right.
So
is this a direct result from starting late, or it's just the triples and the doubles just take longer?
Well, starting late doesn't help.
Right.
But they didn't play triples, they played doubles. So it's just mixed doubles, and it's 3 legs of 0-1.
Right.
But you got a big field. And they were recycling men, so apparently they didn't have enough men signing up. They had more women than men, which I've never even seen before. So I was talking to somebody, and they're like, this is just, you can't do it this way. When I looked at the schedule, I didn't know how it was supposed to work out. Because, at some point, it must be a nightmare for the people running the tournament to keep track of who's still playing and who isn't playing
the 2.5
and all this
hour
other stuff. And they did a good job with that. I only heard them all weekend, one call where somebody was still playing and they called them for another match, and that was the only one all weekend that I heard. But, I mean, get rid of the mixed doubles.
Right.
Or, run the mixed doubles some other day, and, because Sunday's getaway day. People have flights to catch. Like Stacy had to bail on the PDC after winning, stuff like that. And you can't really, it's too expensive to change flights now.
Right.
You know, it's like everything's non-refundable and all this other stuff. So when the shuttle's leaving, you have to go. Joe Chaney, who's playing probably, aside from Darren, who I've seen play this year, no offense to Gordon, who won the cricket on Sunday, tournament in, tournament out, Joe Chaney's been playing the best cricket of anybody in the country. He goes, I forget who he played. He played the first leg and absolutely blew the guy off the board and then shook hands and said, I got to go, you win.
Oh, my God.
I mean, that's got to kill you.
Yeah.
That has to kill you, and I've heard of this happening, especially in Vegas, where guys are leaving on Sunday. I've heard stories, well, why didn't he forfeit to me? He beat the pants off me in the next round, you know, he forfeits. I mean, it's like you go as long as you can,
right.
And then at some point, I have to leave. And for Chaney to even show up and you know, play one leg and be like, okay, there's my alarm, got to go. And I think he
That's
handled
tough.
that. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, what are you supposed to do? But it's frustrating when you travel to a tournament and you can't finish the last singles event.
Yeah.
Because it's the singles events that, you know, guys that chase 80 points, that's what they want. They want, you know, to finish in the money in the singles, and that, you know, you want to pay your expenses, win the singles. That'll do it.
Why couldn't they do the doubles last then? Just as a cool-down event.
Well, I don't know. I mean, some places do the doubles last, but what generally happens
nobody's gonna play in it.
Well, yeah, because, you know, people that are out in the first round don't want to wait for the doubles and they just take off.
Right.
I mean, I don't see that there's anything wrong with running the singles as the last event. It's just like you can't start it so late that everybody's quitting to miss their flights.
Yeah.
So they'll, you know, the people running this tournament have been pretty good about, you know, seeing what's going on, listening to the players, and then trying to adjust it. They're not doing it all at once, but they're doing better than just putting their toe in the water.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they make their decision, they run the event, they lengthen the format of the 5-0. I don't know how late the triples went on Saturday, and I'm sorry we don't have the results from the triples. Blame Steve Brown, not me. But at some point, there's only so much time in a day. And
right.
if you're going to lengthen events, then you're going to run out of time and you're going to have to cut events, which is why I've always said, go ahead, lengthen the events of the singles and raise the entry fee. So, you know, the numbers work out so the tournament can't be losing money. You're going to run out of a tournament. But it looked to me like they did pretty good. They had over 200 people playing the singles on Saturday.
That's nice.
Yeah. And I'm sure they had nowhere near that many playing the cricket on Sunday. And I don't know how many actually completed all their matches. I can think of at least 4 or 5 people that had to bail. So that's too bad. You got anything?
Unless you're going to read the results for Sunday.
Oh, that would be good. Oh, I was going to mention one other thing. You know, I thought it was really cool. Tom Sawyer, Joe Huffman, Chris Helms, and I think Brenda Rausch wore their America's Cup shirts on Sunday.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was kind of goofing on them. Hey, did you guys call each other up this morning?
Right.
See what you're going to wear. But I thought it was great that they did that. And I wasn't in the dart hall 24 hours, but I hope they kind of like got them on stage and introduced them to everybody. Because if you want to promote, you know, the America's Cup and having a national team, you should like honor them in front of the assembled multitude of, you know, you got the best tournament players in the country at this tournament, with a few notable exceptions. You know.
Yeah. I
a couple
agree.
of people couldn't make it, but I hope they did that. I wanted to make a mention of that because I thought that was really cool, and I didn't want those guys to think I was mocking them.
Right, by asking
for real.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought it was kind of cool, and they were really good-looking shirts. I've been ripping on people's shirts.
Yeah.
For good reason.
Right.
But these were really good ones, and I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, I was going to mention The Rock, but I did mention it. There was one quote I got from a guy at The Rock that I wanted to run by you.
Okay.
Okay, guys, talking to this guy. He's a league player. I don't know him that well because I've only seen him like at 2 or 3 tournaments. He lives somewhere around New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, whatever you call greater New York area, whatever. And he was talking about playing good players. He's like, well, I'm never afraid when I play good players. He's like, I know that if I can get it to one leg, that I can win.
Okay.
And that struck me as being like a really great attitude to have for anybody who is coming up against like the Larry Butlers and the Darren Youngs and, you know, all these guys we talk about all the time. Anybody can win one leg. And for some reason I was thinking about this even when I was kind of snoozing on the plane back from New York. I'm like, you know, that's a pretty good attitude to have. just get it down to where it's one leg and you got a crack at it.
Right.
You know, I thought that was like, you know, a pretty cool approach. I wanted to mention that. So, yeah, I did like The Rock. The Rock was really cool. All right, Sunday's results. No reading glasses, but men's singles cricket, Robbie Phillips and myself, top 4, Tom Sawyer second. Well played Gordon Dixon on winning that one. They split, played one leg. Sawyer missed 3 darts, needed 1 bowl, missed 3 darts.
That was it.
And away they went. I
Okay.
missed the whole thing. By the time I came back, they're breaking down the stage. I'm like, that was the quickest final I've ever seen. Who could blame them?
Right.
And then in the men's doubles 5-0, Tim O'Gorman and Bill DeWitt and Ray Carver and Danny Delfino top 4. Larry Butler, Bob Seneve second place to Tom Curtin and Tom Sawyer. In the ladies doubles 501, top 4 Camilla Bennell and Kristen McCandless, Patty Waltz and Betty Cunningham, I think. Really? Those are the results I'm getting, I think. Second place, Kathy Salway. Good to see her. And Sleepy Ann Kramer. Winners Stacy Bromberg and Mary Beth Collins. Well played to those ladies. Mixed doubles 5-0. Larry Butler, Marilyn Pop, Mike Brewer, and Diana Rutherford top 4. Ray Carver, Brenda Roush second place. And the winners Tom Sawyer and Trish Grezik. I'll bet you I know why Sawyer missed those bowls.
Why is that?
Because he probably said to himself, you know, all I got to do is hit 1 bull, and I go undefeated. Why did that stop?
I don't know.
Okay,
What
that's
happened?
very weird. I don't know. Tape stopped. Broadcast is still going, so don't worry about it.
All right.
So
I wasn't really too worried.
you know,
actually.
he needed 1 bullseye and 3 darts to go undefeated on Sunday in a national field. I'll bet you that was going through his
Probably.
mind. Of course, he whiffed on it.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Anyway, great day for Tom Sawyer and Gordon and everybody. Nice tournament by Ray. A lot of great players playing great all weekend. It was really. I know you enjoyed watching the Americans playing at the PDC in Chicago.
Yeah, absolutely.
Real high level of play from what I could see all weekend.
Right.
So I mean, I thought that was pretty cool.
Sweet.
Got anything?
No.
Okay, I'm out of breath.
I think
Let's
we've
wrap
covered
it
just
up.
about everything.
Okay.
Good luck with your accident report.
You believe that?
No. But, yeah, I was talking to somebody else, and it basically happened to them, too. They came back from vacation. Their whole front end was gone.
I'm just like,
So-
are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I'm just like, really?
So you're not alone. But
It's bad enough I got to play on a rook team, and then I'm going to get hit and run too. All right, enough of that. We're brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
DartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. You could follow us on Twitter at Dart Talk, one word. We'll get everything up on YouTube when we can. If you subscribe to it, it'll let you know when we do it. That's Dart Talk US. Search that on YouTube. For the show, for the audio, there's links on the Dart Talk Facebook page. There's links on my page. Go to tunein.com. Go to Stitcher.com. Search for Dart Talk, and you'll find it. And it's also on iTunes.
All right.
Totally free.
Sweet.
Okay, and then we'll Dart Talk to you next week. We'll after party in the chat room for a little bit if you guys want to stay.
Yeah.
And
thanks for putting up with us.
Yeah, sorry for the delays, everybody. Have a good one, safe travels, and we'll talk to you next week.